Welcome to the last of the Col-Hi Wildcats 1982 podcast, brought to you by Boots on Man Productions.
College High. One of the students, I have no idea who he was, but he was in woodshop, and he took that picture and put it on some masonite, and then and cut them up into puzzle pieces. His picture of College High, and I got every piece but one. There was one. I put it together and had one missing piece. Well, that's pretty good, out of all of those.
Tell you what, later on looking back, it was their parents. I grew up without a dad in the home, but their parents had a huge impact on me.
Cheated to win, and this young man asked why he cheated, to win. And in the course of that conversation, he said he wanted to get the gold. He had to get the gold medal, but he came to the realization that if you're not enough without the gold medal, you're never going to be enough with the gold medal. And I think that to me, I love that.
Hey, this is Scott Townsend. Welcome back to the last of the Col-Hi Wildcats 1982 podcast. And today I have with me Kathy Phillips-Clear. You'll find her on page 93 of the yearbook under Kathy Phillips. Welcome to the show, Kathy.
Well, I'm glad to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
You bet. I'm wondering where to start here. There's two tracks I want to go. We'll start with what's been going on. What did you have for breakfast this morning? I'll send you a softball question.
Cappuccino. What I'm drinking right now.
Yeah. Cup of coffee for me too.
Yeah, I got up and took my daughter to school. Today's my Friday off, so I took her to school and then came home and did some other stuff and just hadn't gotten around to eating yet. So
well, thanks for joining us. I know you were with us a couple of weekends ago at the Painted Horse. Chris Service and Matt Newman and a bunch of others, Mark Troxel, Keith Clark, Buddy Snodgrass, his wife. I think that was it. But yeah, so we had a great time. Glad you could make it. So what's been going on you're in Bartlesville right now, right?
Right.
Okay.
I never left Bartlesville after high school. So I've lived here ever since high school.
So let's start from high school. What's been going on for the last 40 years?
So graduated from high school, and I was working at Best Jet grocery store, which was my first great job.
That was my first job. I was a sacker there.
Were we there at the same time? We almost would have had to been.
You remember Stan? Do you remember Dacus?
Tommy Shea? Yeah,
Tommy Shea.
I knew Dacus later.
Yeah. I guess I was 16 or something when I was there.
Okay. I was already 18 when I started working there. So I was working as a cashier. And so worked there. Then they came in and Dacus actually bought the place.
Oh, he did?
Started running. Yeah. So cut everybody's pay. So then I went on and worked at Dillard's for a while, and then price cutter, I guess it was. And then I decided this really isn't cutting it, because every time a grocery store would change hands, you'd go back to almost minimum wage. So
yeah,
I went back to I'd go back to school. So I went to Tulsa Junior College and got an associate's degree in math and graduated from there, had a transfer scholarship to go on to OSU, and went through a breakup. I had gotten married right out of high school. And so suddenly that relationship was over. And
anybody we know from high school?
No, he was from Tommy Collins, and he was from Sand Springs.
Hmm.
So yeah, we were a couple for about 7 years and married for about 6.
Oh,
So
okay.
kind of a long-term relationship. And then after that ended, I met up with a former classmate of ours, Roger Clear. And so we had just started our relationship, and I thought, well, I don't really want to, my head's not in the right place to go off to college. So I started looking for a more permanent job to have. And I got in on a temporary lab technician job out at the research center. And the initial contract was from August to October 31st. And they kept extending it a little bit.
For 3 months
And
at a time.
well, no, for a month at a time because it was a
No.
litigation project. So they would get an extension from the attorneys to gather some more data. So then they would extend our contract. And then at the end of that year, 1988, then they had some regular jobs come open and that contract had ended. So I was able to get on as a regular technician, chemical research technician. So I've been out there for the last 33 years. This will be year number 34.
Oh, wow.
And
Congratulations.
thank you. Thank you. So during that time, I did take some classes through UCAT, and then the chemist that I'm working for now, and I started working for him about 25 years ago. And it's very intense research. And I decided I needed to get some more chemistry to be better at my job. So I went back to TCC and got an associate's degree in chemistry.
Oh, cool.
And I was in my first semester of physics, I think, and found out I was pregnant with my daughter. So so I went ahead and decided, then I graduated in December of 2003 with that associate's degree, and had her in November right before I graduated. So
cool.
Took another break, 18-year break. So she's a senior in high school this year. So it's kind of like real nostalgic because she's going through her senior year and we're building up to our high school reunion. So it's kind of bringing back memories and stuff.
Right. Now you said you
So
had her later on. It was like,
yeah,
how old were you when you had your daughter?
I was 39. I turned 40 6 weeks after I had her.
Mm.
And I was one of those people who wasn't for sure that I really wanted to have kids. So I was kind of ambivalent about it. And then um, somebody had I kind of got drafted into being a Girl Scout leader for a junior troop. And at that point, it's like, oh, this is kind of fun. This is kind of nice, And so I went through the phases of, well, it wouldn't be too bad to be pregnant. And then it was like, well, it wouldn't, it might actually be kind of nice. And then, well, probably would have been nice, but too late now. And then I found out I was pregnant. So everything actually worked out perfectly the way it should.
That's
So I
great.
had her at just the right point in my life.
Mm-hmm.
But
So,
it kind of throws me out of sync with my peers, the peers that I went to high school with, because a lot of them are, they're having grandchildren around the time that I'm having my child, that I'm going through raising my child. So
right. Yeah, our son's 28, 29, and married and has Amelia. She was born the day after Thanksgiving, this last Thanksgiving. And yeah, that's a lot of fun. Well, yours is 18. Your daughter's 18. Matthew's 28, 29. I mean, that's not too far apart, I guess. I don't know. Sounds like it worked out well for you.
Yeah, it did.
So you're at Phillips 34 years, started off as contractor for a month at a time. And talk about putting one foot in front of the other. You just kept going, and here you are 34 years later.
I am a firm believer in serendipity. That was, when I got the job was barely up on the board at all for like 3 days. And I managed to get in and, went in to do the interview and didn't realize I was going to went in to submit my resume at the HR center downtown, and didn't realize I was going to be taking a test and filling out an application. So I barely had time. before it was going to close for lunch. They would just, close it at lunch. And the Frankie DeLapp was the HR person, and she said, "I'm just going to give you the math test," and that was perfect because I had
Mhm.
just got my associate's degree in math. So then I went back to my to the job that I worked at a smoke shop, and I went back there and the phone rang and they wanted me to come in for an interview. So I went the next day for an interview, knew by the end of the interview they were probably going to hire me, and then started within like a couple of weeks. So
That's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
So you're also
So
on the, huh?
Mhm. I was going to say, so it's not, I don't actually work for Phillips. I work for Chevron Phillips Chemical Company because
Oh, okay.
Phillips split off their chemicals and plastics business back in around 2000. And I went over with the new company when that happened. So
Oh, okay. Okay. But it was Phillips when you started?
yes, it was Phillips Petroleum. And then they split off and formed Chevron Phillips Chemical Company as a joint venture. And then they went on and merged with ConocoPhillips. And then whenever they split and became Phillips 66 and ConocoPhillips, then Chevron Phillips Chemical Company went with Phillips 66.
Oh, okay. So
So
you're also married, 18-year-old daughter, 34 years, one place. That's cool. Pretty unheard of anymore these days, it seems like. So your 40th, you're helping with the 40th reunion this year. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
yeah, we've got a place. It's going to be Friday night. I want to say I have to look at the calendar because we were going to do it. Is it the 23rd? I believe.
Yeah, I remember you guys changed it because of Sooners or Sooners reunion or what?
Well, it's kind of so I don't know if you remember our classmate John Sayre.
Yeah.
Okay. So his
Great guy.
sister Crystal, his sister Crystal runs the family business here in town, which is the John Sayre, or it's not the John Sayre, it's the Sayre building. And when I was looking around for a place to have our main event, they kind of indicated that they would be willing to host the reunion there, and so cover the cost of the venue, the facility. So as donate that to us. So somehow the scheduling kind of got messed up. I thought we had the 17th and Sooner had the next weekend.
Oh, yeah.
But then somehow it got swept around. And I think maybe that the weekend, the Friday that we're having it works out better for John. So all the way around, it'll be a good thing because we'll get to see him. And
Well, that's great. And so is it
yeah,
the same weekend as Sooners?
yes, it is the night before Sooners.
Okay.
So call and get your reservations at the hotels. But you will be able to see your friends from Sooner. Fortunately, they'll be here in town too.
So they're the night before.
They're the night after ours.
Okay.
We're on Friday night and they're on Saturday night.
So probably not a good idea for us to be together in the same building on the same night.
We initially thought about doing that. And then because I talked to some of the organizers from Sooner, who was organizing the Sooner reunion. And I think that we were kind of afraid there might be too much noise with the conflicting, with dueling bands or something for the main event. So yeah, I started
Plus,
working on that.
we would be burning a big Spartan out front, so that might be a little off-putting. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because to me it's like that was so long ago, and I just can't even imagine people getting into conflict over their high school football teams. But it was kind of a concern with the Sooner people. They were afraid that there might actually be conflict. I'm like, oh, come on, people have grown up. But
some of us have and some of us haven't, I guess.
yeah. So I started off real gung-ho on that, and then I kind of got really busy. So we still need to find some food for our reunion. If people want to drop suggestions on the Facebook page as to what kind of food they'd like to have on the main night. And then there's also the option, because we're having our main event on Friday night, we could have some sort of a mixer or um, reception type event on Thursday night if we wanted to. We could also have another more casual event on Saturday evening too. And I've kind of tentatively, I've reached out and got some contact information for getting tours set up probably on the Saturday after after the main event, that during the day, to have some tours of the high school. And I know for some people that's not their high school, but it is kind of cool to go and look and see how much remodeling and how the updates that have been made.
Mm-hmm.
One of the schools that I really would like for people to see is Central, because that was our middle school, and that still is a separate middle school. They still have the school split at that point. There's Central and there's Madison still. And Madison's where Old Sooner was, but Central remains Central. And they have gone in and done some updates and some remodeling, but they preserve the past and the beautiful parts of the building. It really had to have some work done. They had crown molding falling in the hallways, fortunately, while class was in session, so it didn't hit and kill a kid.
Gosh.
But it's amazing what they've done with that. I really, really liked the work that they did there.
All I remember about Central was there's just stairs forever. If you want to go anywhere, you got to go either up or down a stair, 3 floors, all 4 if you go to the basement.
Yeah.
So do you need any help on the committee? I mean, who is on the committee, or is there a committee?
We're kind of like a loose committee. So Dana Brock and Laura and Stacy Dennis have been helping out. Lori and Dana and I met once or twice. We've kind of like talked on, on messaging and everything. I guess once we got like a facility for the main event, it was kind of like, okay, that's the main deal, is to get that out of the way. And then the other stuff, and I don't know how many people are coming. I think do we know how many came to the 30-year reunion? It seems like it was a smaller number. I know we had that one at Bambino's. So
if anybody out there listening knows how many came to the 30-year reunion, you might leave a comment on the Facebook page.
Yeah.
Last of the Col-Hi Wildcats, 1982.
I think I've heard it was about 100, but
oh yeah,
I don't know.
And the thing about Friday is everybody's got to travel on a Friday to get, whereas Sooner gets to travel.
No, it sucks. I was like, it really was annoying. It was almost like I felt like they sabotaged us. But yeah, we probably shouldn't put that in the video. Scratch that. Yeah, those Sooner people.
Man. Well, everybody will just have to ask off for that Friday or Thursday, Friday, whatever. Huh.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, you guys are doing the best you can. So do you want people to help? Do you guys need any help?
Yeah, and we had some people in the past who like spoke up and said they would help. And there are some tasks people could probably do at a distance if they wanted to. I know not everybody's in town. And Sandy Collins, is that right? I think she mentioned she could help. And when I talked to the Sooner people, apparently one of the big issues is getting the name tags printed. So I don't know. Yeah, I was like, wow, name tags, that's something to be worried about. So I know we had name tags at the 30-year reunion. So I'm wondering if somebody has a file where they have all the senior pictures.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah.
With the name tags. If they have that computer file and they could recover it, that would be awesome. And then we could get those printed. And I think Sandy said she was willing to help with the name tags. The Sooner people were going to have a they have like a golf tournament that's kind of like commemorative of some fallen classmate. So I had kind of reached out to Scott Crawley when we thought we were going to have it all on the same weekend, and I need to reach out to him again. I don't golf, so it would have to be somebody, hand that off, definitely somebody who wants to golf if they're interested in having a tournament with Sooner, or, meeting up with Sooner to play golf. And so there was that. And initially we had talked about going to a football game on a Friday night, but then I know some people were like, no, that's not my high school, and football games don't necessarily excite me. And I go and help out in the concession stand. But also it's kind of hard to know when they were going to have a hometown football game. That was
Mm.
one of the kind of holdups on setting the date initially. If we were going to do a football game and you wanted a hometown football game, they don't set the schedule until like January or February of the year. So
let me suggest this.
Mhm.
What if we set up a time to have a Zoom meeting with everybody that's interested in being a part of the committee? So it could be you
That
and
would be
Dana and Sandy and whoever, Stacy, and whoever else wants to join, either to listen in or to have suggestions or maybe take on a task or whatever. Because now that it's March, April, May, June, July, August, September.
Yeah, we don't have line. We don't have line.
So it might be good to set up a recurring Zoom meeting ever so often to make sure. I mean, I'm not trying to, I'm just making a suggestion here. Does that sound like something?
Oh yeah, yeah. That would be awesome. I'm not like really good with the IT video tech stuff. I would suggest like I'm off every other Friday. So if we wanted to do it like 2 weeks from now or 4 weeks from now, that would work out good for me. I don't know about other people. And then of course
2
weekends
weeks from now.
and evenings are probably all right too. So
Okay. All right. I'll see what I can do there as far as just helping with maybe getting everybody together. That's probably all that's all I'm good for, but that might help.
No.
All right, so back to so the reunion's coming up. All right, so that's great. It sounds like you got the venue and John and everybody. We'll have a Zoom meeting with everybody that's interested. So if you're listening to this, watching, if you want to be a part of that Zoom meeting, I guess we'll just make an announcement on the Last of the Col-Hi Wildcats Facebook page when that will be, and then send a link out to anybody who's interested. So if you're interested, let me know. Let Kathy know. Yeah. Or just reply to that comment.
Yeah.
When we set a date for the meeting.
Kathy S. Clear at yahoo.com if anybody wants to send me an email.
Kathy S. Clear at gmail.com. Okay. Yeah, I'll put it.
At Yahoo.
Oh, Yahoo. At least it's not AOL.
Yeah.
Just, it's a joke. Or Netscape. Okay, so when you think of College High, what's the one thing what's your fondest memory of high school, the senior year, being the last graduating class?
Graduating and being done with it. I mean, that's kind of sad. I don't know. I kind of like my memories go back more to like Central. Col-Hi, I don't have like a whole lot of memories. I remember I went to Tech in my junior year for a while, and took cosmetology out there. I mostly worked. That's my main memory of high school is working. I worked at Sirloin Stockade when I became old enough to work. And then I worked at Godfather's Pizza, which was like crazy chaotic place.
Mm-hmm.
Lori Diller worked with me out there.
Oh, that's cool.
So yeah, so and my friend Kelly Savage, she worked there.
Yeah.
People who worked there with us. Terry Carlson, I think, Sean Atkins. Yeah, that's That's all I can remember right now, I'm sure. Oh, Robin Gocher worked there too. She was a year behind us. Just when I first started, she worked there a little bit.
Mm.
And then when I turned 18, I went to work at BestJet. So I worked with some people there at BestJet.
Margaret, you remember Margaret? She was a cashier there, Spanish lady.
Yes, Margaret Phelps.
Yeah,
Yes, definitely remember her. Yeah.
super nice.
Yeah, she was very, very nice.
Your head's starting to slip down the screen here. Can you tilt your?
Okay, there we go. I am not good with videos at all.
I'll let you know.
Okay.
Thank you for listening to the last of the Col-Hi Wildcats 1982 podcast, and we'll be right back after this.
If you've enjoyed this podcast, you have my patrons to thank for that. A bunch of Wildcats got together to help in the production of this podcast. So with that in mind, I've started a Patreon page so that listeners can help support the last of the Col-Hi Wildcats 1982 podcast on a month-to-month basis. So please check out my Patreon page, patreon.com/Wildcats 1982. And now back to the show. So what's been your greatest accomplishment in the last 40 years?
Oh, wow. So I've had, probably my greatest is having a child at 39 and successfully parenting and successfully parenting. I guess the verdict's still out on that, but going through that at that age. I've also had some work successes. So I am an author on several U.S. patents. So that's kind of cool.
That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's been your biggest disappointment?
That I didn't have more fun along the way when I was younger in high school, and then in my early mid-20s. I wish I hadn't been quite so conservative with myself and let myself go and travel and experience those kind of things when I was young. I worried too much about money. I was always concerned with saving money and not experienced in life. And as I started to get older, I realized that I needed to have more, that life experiences were worth a lot more than security, that things will just work out. You just have to, trust that things will work out.
Mm-hmm. You said you grew up in Bartlesville. Did you say that? I can't remember. Are you born and raised in Bartlesville?
Yes, I was born at the old Memorial Hospital, which is across the street from Pizza Hut now. And grew up, went to elementary school at Jefferson Elementary, which was the elementary school that was just south of Homeland.
Mm-hmm.
And they tore it down to make way for an apartment complex quite a few years ago, probably about 30 years ago or more.
Yeah, I forgot about that actually. What was the name of the school there?
Jefferson Elementary.
Jefferson. So what was life like growing up in Bartlesville for you?
Oh, it was fun. I was an only child, so I guess until, and most of my cousins are all younger than me, so it was kind of lonely as an only child, not having a lot of friends to play with or anything. Then, at elementary school, and there were some kids kind of moved in. I lived on the dead end of Choctaw.
Oh, yeah.
So North Choctaw, about 3 blocks north of Homeland. And so that area at that point in time, there was finally we started to get some kids in the area. So that was fun. We'd ride our bikes up and down. It was kind of a dead end street, and there was kind of a little alley that curved around. So we had a lot of fun riding our bicycles and playing outside at night until it got really late and dark. And
Who was your gang in high school? Who did you run around with, and especially
Um,
your senior year?
that probably it was more people who were already out of high school because I was working, and so the people who worked at Godfather's Pizza,
Mm-hmm.
so Lori and my friend Kelly and Pam Nichols. Pam Nichols, yeah, she worked
Oh
there
yeah,
too. Yeah, she passed away a few years ago.
Pam Nichols did.
Yeah, unfortunately.
I didn't. Did I know? I didn't know that. Didn't she used to have
Yeah.
horses or something on Sunset?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. They lived out on was it Sunset? They lived out Hudson Lake Road,
Oh, okay.
I
Yeah,
think.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and they had some horses out there.
Hmm.
I'm still friends with her sister. I don't, I see her on Facebook and stuff. Um, one of the friends that I hung out with a lot in high school was Vicky Enos, and her sister Becky Enos was one of our classmates, graduated in 1982. And I still have contact
Becky
with her
Enos.
on Facebook. Uh-huh. Her sister Vicky and I ran around a lot together.
Becky Enos.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. I remember Becky. Yeah. Huh.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. You still stay in touch?
Kelly,
Did you say?
a little bit with Vicky. She lives in Oklahoma City, and so I still stay in touch with her. Kelly Savage is the one that I probably stay in touch with the most.
So where's Kelly
Um,
Savage these days?
um, she lives she lives at Lake Ulaga, lives on the lake. So she
Oh,
stayed in the area all this time too, pretty much. I think she moved away a little bit down to Muskogee, but then back.
hmm.
So she was gracious enough to share her kids with me until I had my own. So
That's so great. What are you? Just some getting to know Kathy Clear now. Kathy Phillips-Clear. What TV shows are you mid binging on right now?
oh wow. Um, so I still watch Grey's Anatomy. Um, and now I watch Big Sky and Station 19. But then binge wise, during the pandemic, I had never watched Breaking Bad.
Oh,
So I I binge watched that and got all caught up on that. I watch The Handmaid's Tale, um,
haven't seen that. Yeah,
Ozark.
Ozark. Yeah,
Yeah,
I started
Ozark.
watching that.
Yeah. That one's pretty good. Um, let's see, The Witcher. Now I found Outlander, so I've been binge watching that one, got caught
Hmm.
up on that one. Um, let's see, I used to watch Frasier and
Oh, I
Two and
love
a Half
Frasier.
Men for comedy.
Yeah, Frasier is my
And
all-time favorite, probably.
yeah, Two and a Half Men was pretty good too.
Was it?
So I kind of, yeah, there was a period of time where I didn't really have TV. I didn't have cable TV. So we just had like the 2, 6, and 8. We lived kind of out by Wendell's Rock Shop and they didn't have cable out there.
Yeah.
So I didn't watch a lot of TV. And so now it's like going back, it was like catching up on things. So
Mm-hmm. That's cool. What's your best
yeah.
habit, and
Ooh,
what's your
best
worst
habit.
habit?
Multitasking might be one of my best habits. Worst habit would probably be procrastination and taking on too many things.
So you have to
Try to multitask.
multitask. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a book you recommend to everyone read to everyone that they should read?
No, there's not a single book I would recommend to everyone to read. If I know what people like, I can usually come up with a list of books to recommend. I've had pretty broad reading taste.
Hmm.
So some of my authors, I guess I could say that. So Jan Burke, if you like mysteries. Um, Robin Hobb, if you like fantasy and sci-fi, or if you like fantasy. Robin Hobb's better for fantasy. I read Anne Rice,
Oh
a
yeah,
lot of her books. Yeah.
the vampire interview with a vampire or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. I read The Interview with a Vampire, read when I was probably about 15 years old. And it had just kind of like stuck in my head. And then years later, um, I ran into the Vampire Lestat. There was a big, huge gap in there when she didn't write. And so then I read all that series, and I kind of will get burnt out on a series. So I've read John Grisham, um,
All of them.
most of them probably,
Hmm.
most of the John Grisham books, most of them. Um, oh, read some Stephen King, of course. Um, the other guy, slipping my mind, he wrote Doctor Murder. I think what was his name? The other thriller.
Not Dean Koontz or.
Yeah, yeah, Dean Koontz.
Hmm.
So I read some of his. So I'll go through phases where I'll read some. Then I got more off on like, oh, Anne McCaffrey. She's a really good author. Mercedes Lackey, another fantasy author. She's actually kind of local, like
Hmm.
lives within. I've heard Tulsa. I've heard Owasso. I've heard Sand Springs. So she lives somewhere south of us. So not very far.
What's your? Do you have a favorite podcast besides this one, of course?
Well, this is the only podcast I've watched, so
Oh, it
it
is.
has to be
Okay.
my favorite. Yeah. I mean, I guess I catch some of others. Sometimes people put a link on Facebook or something and you go watch the podcast, but this is the only one that I actually say, hey, I want to watch this.
That's
So,
cool. Do you have a favorite form of exercise that you do? I know we started a mini series within this Last of the Wildcats about exercise, and I interviewed Tina McCrary about yoga. I've got Brian Baker coming up with CrossFit and nutrition. Is there a favorite exercise that you like to do? What do you do to stay in shape?
I don't do much. Let's see. I work. So so the job at the research center is partly computer, partly it's a lot of physical activity sometimes. So and then there's a lot of walking involved. My favorite form of exercise is aqua aerobics, but I don't get to do that very often. So
Mm,
that was my favorite because I had some trouble with some arthritis.
mm-hmm.
And when you're in the water, you don't get the pounding on your joints that you do if you're like out on land. So I really liked aqua aerobics, and I need to get back into it and try to take better care of myself.
Yeah. Aqua aerobics. Yeah, that's really good for pretty much everything. All the muscle
Yeah.
groups and joints and easy on the joints.
And you burn more calories being in the water because you're trying to maintain your body temperature as well. So
Mm,
it's another benefit. I have tried yoga a little bit. Yoga was really nice as far as like stretching and relaxation.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I don't get into all the touchy-feely stuff that some yoga places try to get into. I'm just all about stretching, and
Yeah.
staying limber and loose. I need to do more of it, of course. I'm not anywhere near where I need to be.
Yeah.
So my wife and I, just because of the interview I did with Atina,
Uh-huh.
my wife and I started doing couples stretching. I wouldn't call it couples yoga. It's just more like couples stretching. So,
Uh-huh.
I'll help her. She and I will do like deep knee bends, holding hands and doing deep knee bends together, and doing some other stretches together. It's a lot of fun, actually. I really enjoy it. It only takes 15 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes,
Yeah.
basic stretching. But
Is that something you started at a facility here in Bartlesville, or is it just something that you guys do at the house, or
at the house.
is there
And like I
yeah,
said, it's
there's
just
not really
been recent.
yeah. Very briefly I did they had some yoga classes through Hopestone. Um, for the cancer patients and cancer survivors and their families. Their programs are free, but this was before COVID. I'm not for sure what their policies are now, but they would have a yoga class and you could go in just as a general member of the community. And for a donation, you could participate. And and I enjoyed that too.
Hmm. That's
For
cool.
me, it's really hard to find, classes seem to work better for me because it keeps me structured and keeps me going and doing what I need to
Accountable.
do.
Hmm.
Right, right. But my work schedule, I'm often working late and classes usually are over and done by the time I'm leaving work. So
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Well, I'm down to the question that we always ask everybody, and that is, what advice would you give your 18-year-old self, knowing what you know now?
To enjoy life. Just go out and travel. I love to travel now. I wish I had taken advantage of that more when I was younger
Hmm.
and did more traveling and taken more time off. I know even when I was in high school, if anybody needed somebody to pick up a shift at where I was working, I was always the first one to volunteer. It was always like I come from a pretty poor background, so I always felt like you needed to save your money and not waste it. And so I don't think that I really used it to enjoy life the way I should have when I was younger. So trying to
Mm.
make up for it now.
Where's where's one of your favorite places you've been to?
Boy, so Kauai, we went in 1992. My brother-in-law got married out there, and
Mm.
so we flew out. It's the farthest west island, and it was like a whole nother planet. It was just so cool there, and it's more remote and it's less populated.
Hmm.
So it's where they filmed like Fantasy Island
Oh, yeah.
and From Here to Eternity and Lost. That was
Oh,
another show
cool.
I used to watch, Lost,
Oh,
and
yeah.
so
I really did. I
so they
liked Lost. Yeah.
so they filmed part of that there. Another place that I really enjoyed was Yellowstone. Went there one year,
Hmm.
and I love mountains and the ocean. So
That's cool. Yeah. Um, these are other reunion questions I have, but we've already
okay,
answered those. So to have more fun,
yeah,
that's your advice. Have more fun.
yeah. Enjoy life and live in the moment. Don't always plan for the future so much that you forget to enjoy the here and now. That would probably be the
Yeah, that's cool. I'll go with that.
yeah.
Well, is there anything else you'd like to tell the Wildcats listening, watching? Any last parting
So,
words here?
well, one of the things on the reunion, I don't know whether we were recording at the time, but I just spoke with Debbie Halpin at Hopestone, and she has offered to let us use their upstairs room for a memorial service the Sunday morning after our big event on Friday night. So
Oh, yeah.
wanted to let people know that that's in the works. And yeah, whenever you ask these questions, it's like, okay, I need to get on the ball. So then I also have an email into Siri Wise at the Garden Hilton downtown to try and check on a block of rooms. I'll reach out to some of the other hotels around here today too, and try to get that in the works.
Yeah, I imagine the Hilton's going to be the one that Hilton Garden Inn is going to be the one everybody wants to go to,
Yeah,
within walking
the
distance of the Sarah building.
right. There's what are they called? Um, there's some other little Airbnbs or um, hotel rooms associated with the Sarah building.
Is there? I didn't know
Can't
that.
remember them. Yeah, yeah. I think Rhonda mentioned them on our Facebook page, um, and there's I think maybe 6 of them. So they're there downtown, and then we have the Price Tower, which has the Copper
Yeah, that's
Inn
true.
there, and so there's some hotel rooms there. Um, it's not real far out to like some of the ones on the east side of town too. And um, if you're wanting like an experience, there's the Airbnb over in Pahuska, attached with the Pioneer Woman.
Oh, there is?
Yeah.
Hmm.
So I'll try and look around and get some ideas. There are a few Airbnbs in Bartlesville, I think too. So if
Yeah,
people
I know
want to
there's
like
one
get a
down the
house.
down the street here,
Yeah.
over on Dewey, I think, something like that. 14th and Dewey.
Oh, uh-huh.
All right. Well, Kathy, thanks a lot for your time and sharing what you've been up to all these years, and thanks for all your help with the reunion. Well, for Kathy Phillips-Clear, this is Scott Townsend. Thanks for watching, listening to the last of the Col-Hi Wildcats 1982 podcast. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you later.
The Last of the Col-Hi Wildcats 1982 podcast is a Dietzo Man production. Visit the Last of the Col-Hi Wildcats 1982 YouTube channel, listen on Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.
This podcast is made possible by our Patreon members, Butch Bowen, Ben Townsend, Mark Thompson, Glenn Goodrich, Sandra Yeager, and Christy Brooks. And by the generous donations made via the GoFundMe campaign.